Aasvoëls speel 'n sleutelrol in die ekologie van die veld. Maar hulle bestaan word reg oor Afrika deur vergiftigings bedreig. Op 11 Augustus 2022 het veldwagters van die Kruger Wildtuin op iets gruwelik afgekom. Iemand het 'n verstrikte buffelkarkas met gif gedokter. Meer as 100 aasvoëls en 'n hyena is vergiftig. 27 aasvoëls was nog lewendig, maar hulle lewens het aan 'n draadjie gehang. Reddingsspanne van die Moholo Diere Rehabilitasiesentrum in Hoedspruit is onmiddellik gestuur om hulle te gaan haal. Maar daar was 'n probleem. Die vergiftigde aasvoëls was 5 ure se ry ver en op daardie stadium het elke sekonde getel.
Typically with these poisoning incidents is if we're asked to respond to these, we'll get a phone call from whichever reserve it is to kind of request assistance from their side. In this case, we got a phone call from Sandparks to say that there was at that point they said a suspected poisoning. As soon as we heard that, we immediately phoned Moholo. They're a strong partner for us when it comes to the rehab.
We were called again. Please, can we come urgent? Massive, over 100 vultures poisoned in Pundamalia area in the park.
So we loaded the vehicle and started driving. We didn't know when we set off at the rehab how many birds will be poisoned, how big the event will be. But I mean, you want to get there as fast as possible. And if you come late, all the birds might be dead.
We always have an emergency box for the things that we might need. We did have enough time to quickly load boxes, grab ringers, grab syringes, grab everything we need. Because I think we also have done it a few times before, so we kind of know by now what to grab.
Om die aasvoëls so gou as moontlik te behandel, het die veldwagters al die siek aasvoëls op 'n bakkie gelaai en die Moholo span halfpad ontmoet.
They basically singled out whichever birds were still alive and which ones were dead.
Lots of them were just lying flat, not barely moving. They don't even blink. They're paralyzed basically.
Die reddingsspan het aan die werk gespring.
As soon as we got there, then obviously we just started at one corner
We just started grabbing and treating, grabbing and treating.
and just took each bird in turn. We worked, there were a team of 4 of us, so we worked sort of 2 birds at a time.
We went through them quite quickly. I think adrenaline helps a lot.
And yeah, just the basic protocols, which are fairly straightforward and fairly effective.
Nadat die aasvoëls behandeling ontvang het die Endangered Wildlife Trust en Moholo span reg deur die nag terug Moholo toe gery. Maar by die vergiftigingsplek was daar vir die veldwagters nog werk om te doen.
Main protocol is after checking all the birds, we try and record the age classes, the species, just so we kind of know what actually died at these scenes. And then afterwards, although it's a huge amount of work, the carcasses all get burned. So anything that we suspect might be laced with poison is burned.
Met hulle aankoms by Moholo het die behandeling voortgegaan.
When we got the birds back into the clinic, it normally takes them about 12 hours to a day and a half, depending on how much poison they've taken in, to be completely stabilized.
Of course, they are wild. They're scared of us, but we keep them isolated.
Die aasvoëls is elke 2 ure met vloeistowwe, geaktiveerde houtskool en antropien, 'n hartstimulant, behandel. Dis 'n onverbiddelike skedule.
So, I mean, there's times when I phone Nikki and she's literally dragged a mattress into the rehab facility there and basically sleeps in the room next to the vultures, just so that she can check them as often as needed.
Maar dit was die moeite werd. Hulle het 22 van die 27 voëls wat opgeneem is, gered. Sodra die voëls genoegsaam herstel het, is hulle buitekant in groot hokke aangehou waar hulle hul kragte kon opbou. Maar vir die personeel is die sege bittersoet. Daar's altyd die gevoel dat meer gedoen kon word.
It's really, really heartbreaking to see these birds getting targeted all the time. It's not nice. Sometimes you feel a bit defeated because you do your best to save the individual and then you harness them and tag them for EWT, and then you sometimes find them dead at the next poisoning site, and it's just sad because they make it the first time and then sometimes they're not as lucky to make it the second time, so yeah.
You find what you can, but I mean, who knows? Like the 110 is the ones we know are dead. You know, you sweep a kilometre or two around a poisoning scene, but there's a point where you don't know. Some of those things flew 5Ks and died. You're not going to find them.
I really enjoy it, but it's very sad as well. So, but I'm glad that I could be here to even help in the first place.
Die aasvoëls wat nadat hulle vergiftig is, nog gelewe het, is teruggevat Moholo toe vir verdere sorg. Om vergiftigde aasvoëls na so 'n beproewing te verpleeg, verg enorme inspanning. Maar wanneer dit by spesies soos die kom, is dit absoluut noodsaaklik.
If we start with the birds that actually survived, so the vast majority were whiteback vultures. Now, whitebacks, the reality is that they are critically endangered. So people don't realize, but that's a higher conservation status than white rhino. You know, power lines do play a role in areas where we have issues with, you know, wind turbines, etc. But poisoning is by and large the biggest threat that we actually have to worry about. You know, some of these significant poisoning events could be several hundred birds that die within a day or two.
And it's not just the target, it's everything around it. If a jackal has to eat a small piece of meat, that jackal's going to die, and then a bird of prey will come down and eat that jackal.
Maar waarom gebeur hierdie vergiftigings? Die een rede is dat aasvoëls 'n stroper se teenwoordigheid verklap.
People are essentially poisoning vultures because everybody knows if you see them going down to the ground, there's a carcass or there's something to go and check. So, you know, obviously anti-poaching teams are aware of this.
Maar die mees algemene rede en dalk die mees kommerwekkende is dat aasvoëls se liggaamsdele vir tradisionele medisyne gebruik word.
In these instances, that's when like vulture heads and sometimes feet will be cut off. Often we see it tied in with hyenas where like tails are cut off.
The vultures are very important to our ecosystem. They eat carcasses and they stop the spread of diseases.
Aasvoëls het kragtige spysverteringssappe wat enige patogene in hul kos kan doodmaak. Dit beteken dat hulle verrotte en besmette vleis wat ander aasdiere sou doodmaak kan vreet.
Especially something like anthrax, there's a chance that, you know, like the birds physically consuming a carcass faster limits the exposure of other animals to anthrax or other diseases.
So sou die voëls uit die veld verdwyn, kan die effek op die ekosisteem katastrofies wees. Twintig van die aasvoëls wat gered is gerehabiliteer en is gereed om vrygelaat te word.
We just fit leg rings to give them an ID number, so if they're ever found again, we know which individual it was, and we fit wing tags for the wings, and then for the other birds who didn't get wing tags, we fit tracking devices.
Die 3 identifiseringstegnieke bied verskeie voor- en nadele. Hulle kan tesame gebruik word. Die etiket word ongeveer 2 cm vanaf die randjie van die vlek geplaas. Dit ontwrig hulle vliegvermoë die minste. Die span moet uiters versigtig wees om nie enige senuwees, ligamente of bloedvate te beskadig nie.
The wing tagging for us is really important. I know it must be a little bit stressful and maybe painful for the bird getting tagged, that's for sure. But we think the benefits to science and to conservation outweigh that. So if a person is walking, say, under a power line and they find a bird that's hit the power line, for example, if it's got one of these yellow wing tags on, you can flip the wing tag up and then you'll see the name and the number and the email address of the person who tagged it. and just let that person know they will be over the moon to hear, not that the bird's grounded, but just where it was and how it happened. The more we learn about mortalities, the more we can try and fix them as well.
Die aasvoëls kry ook identifikasieringe. Inligting oor 'n voël se ouderdom, beweging en geslag kan deur middel van die nommer op die ring nagespoor word. Verskeie mates word geneem en laastens word 'n druppeltjie bloed uit die poot geneem. Dit word hoofsaaklik gebruik om die voël se geslag te bepaal, want dit is baie moeilik om andersins vas te stel of dit 'n mannetjie of 'n wyfie is. John Davies van die Endangered Wildlife Trust sit die GPS-opsporingsstelle aan die aasvoël se vlerke en bene.
With these units, they'll sit sort of on the lower back, and these serve as leg loops that actually hook on the inside of the legs, and we tighten it around. It's elasticated, so it's got a little bit of give in there. After release, we can actually follow the birds. We're confident about the survival of the birds, and also in future poisonings, it allows us an opportunity to actually locate these events when they happen a lot faster than is currently happening. Okay, so these are the tracking units that we're going to be using on. You'll see a solar panel on there, so solar powered for all of these units. So we're just going to hook it over.
Die GPS laai die inligting op 'n afgeleë rekenaar via 'n satellietskakel.
That it doesn't slip off the bird. I think the crimp keeps sliding.
Navorsers kan die voël se presiese roetes volg, as ook inligting oor hoe hoog die voëls vlieg, die lugtemperatuur en hoe lank hulle in die gebied bly, insamel.
Bingo, that's good. Okay.
Die data is uiters omvattend en van onskatbare waarde vir navorsing. Die tyd het uiteindelik aangebreek vir die aasvoëls om vrygelaat te word. Hulle word in kratte gelaai en na die nabygeleë aasvoël restaurant geneem vir die gebeurtenis. Vir wildliefhebbers is die vrylating 'n groot viering en meer as 150 mense het die gebeurtenis kom aanskou.
So today was kind of the end point of the rehabilitation process that these poison vultures underwent. So it's about 10 days or so in captivity with symptomatic treatment for all of the symptoms that poisoning brings on. Moholo and their amazing team managed to save over 20 birds' lives.
Uiteindelik het die oomblik waarvoor almal gewag het aangebreek. Die vrylating. Aan die einde van die dag het die span dit reg gekry om meer as 20 voëls te red. Nadat hulle vir ongeveer 2 weke gestrand was hulle gretig om na hulle natuurlike habitat terug te keer. Vir die span is dit 'n bittersoet sege. En vir die aasvoëls 'n tweede kans op die lewe.
After today's event, I do have a lot of hope for these vultures. They've received top-notch treatment over the last couple of weeks here at Moholoholo, and we know from the wing tag re-sightings, these birds survive for years.
It feels really nice. It's nice seeing them flying back. It's a really good feeling.
It's really nice to see these animals going back into the natural environment and knowing you were such a big part of giving them a second chance.